We got one perspective on this equilibrium condition by looking at the Ricardian experiment that we had been conducting in earlier models. To get another perspective on it, let's think about an open market operation. So in this case, we have the Fed selling bonds in the open market. So if you remember from previous lectures, what effects this has on the balance sheet of the Fed and of the banking system, what it does is it increases the quantity of bonds in the hands of the public. So B goes up. You remember that B is bonds held by the public. And the Fed, when it sells these bonds, what it does is it destroys reserves. And here we're just using M, high-powered money. So we've got that B goes up and M goes down. And in fact, in an open market operation, because these are both denominated in dollars, the dollar change in debt has to equal the dollar change in reserves. Now this will generally raise the federal funds rate, and it contracts the supply of money. Okay, so that would then shift the money supply to the left and reduce the price level. And that's what is depicted here. We're looking at the money market. The price level is getting determined. It's on the vertical axis. Initially, we are, for some reason, in point B. And the open market sale contracts the money supply. So supply money shifts in. At the initial price level now, there is excess demand. That means that the price of money goes up. You remember that the price of money is 1 over P. So if the price of money goes up, then it must mean that the price level goes down. And as the price level goes down, people don't need as much money because it doesn't cost as much to buy stuff. And they slide down this fixed demand curve until you reach a new equilibrium price level, P1. Okay, so the open market sale here reduces the price level. But in that conventional story, we didn't even mention this equilibrium condition. So this condition tells us that can't be the end of the story. And why is that? Well, the open market sale of debt puts more bonds in the hands of the public. And at the same time, the price level has fallen. So what does that mean? We have B is going up, P is going down, therefore the ratio must be going up a lot. In other words, the value of debt in the hands of the public has increased a lot. Well, what's going to support that debt? Something has to adjust to make this right-hand side equal to this higher value of debt. And so in the usual scenario, what is adjusting is future taxes. And so those future taxes raise this curly S and supports the higher value of government debt. So another way to think about what's going on is, suppose that the value of debt that you're holding has gone up. In other words, you can buy more goods with each unit of debt that you hold. But at the same time, you don't expect taxes are going to go up in the future. How would that make you feel? Well, it should make you feel wealthier. And what you would tend to want to do is go out and try to buy more goods. But if you go out and try to buy more goods, that's actually going to drive the price level up, not down, as is assumed in this conventional analysis. So what happens is we do this Ricardian thing. The value of debt has gone up, the real value of debt has gone up, and we have to raise taxes in the future by enough so that people don't feel wealthier. And that then allows the usual or the conventional effects of an open market operation to play out. But you'll notice that what is going on here, and I put it in blue to emphasize it, this requires that fiscal policy adjusts taxes in just the right way after a monetary policy action. So in other words, the effects of monetary policy depend on fiscal behavior. Now, because these surpluses that are supporting debt are actually occurring in the future, they're really expected surpluses. And so what we ought to be doing is putting a little E superscript on this curly S. So now you get to have a superscript and a subscript. But it is an important point to recognize that this is really about expected surpluses, not that people know for sure what's going to happen to surpluses. It's just as in the Ricardian experiment, when people get a tax cut today or buy more debt today, their behavior depends on what they expect will happen to policy in the future. So the usual story about monetary policy hinges on people having the right expectations about fiscal behavior. Or to word it differently, their expectations about taxes have to be anchored on the pattern of behavior that we're talking about here, that if the real value of debt goes up, then people's expectations are anchored on the idea that taxes will go up in the future. And the real question is, in a country like the United States, or I could list 50 other countries, what actually guarantees that whenever the real value of debt rises, expected taxes will rise? And the answer to that is nothing guarantees it.